Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we're going to discuss and look at the mutual reception energies between Venus in Scorpio and Mars in Libra. I will explain what that means, and I want to share that this is energy that will be in effect September 11th until October 8th. And it's working with all of us, regardless of your natal Venus or natal Mars sign. These are energies that we are all feeling, and they are inviting us into the deeper realms of relationships. And these can be relationships with other people, relationships with yourself, different parts of yourself, including relationships with your own feminine energies as represented by Venus, and your own masculine energies as represented by Mars. This can also highlight energies that you're in relationship with all around you. And that's because the Libra and Scorpio energies assist us in relating in all forms, how we share energy, how we're able to communicate and discuss, how we're able to collaborate, go deeper, get to know someone, how we're able to really go into the heart of a truth, while also moving through some of the potential deeper, darker undercurrents along the way. So this energy feels significant, and that's why I wanted to do a special podcast episode for you on what could be coming up to your own psyche, on what could be coming up for awareness, for you to really look at and sit with, especially in an objective manner. So let's go through the specifics of these energies, and then we'll look at some of the themes that could be showing up for you. And I want to also ask you some deeper questions to sit with and be aware of. Venus is the energy of love, receiving, how we relate to other people. In astrology, Venus is connected with multiple archetypes, and not only the ones of the feminine, which includes friendships and relationships with women, but also the deeper energies of how we show up in the world and share who we are based on our own sense of self-love, how you loving and accepting yourself, how that energy that you've established internally is then what you take out and share externally. So when Venus is in Scorpio, she is the furthest away from her home sign of Taurus. Now, Venus rules both Taurus and Libra. However, Libra is a masculine sign, whereas Taurus is a feminine sign. And so Venus is really much more at home in the earthly energies of Taurus, which connect with peace, calm, creativity, making something real, enjoying the best of life. And that's all related to our earthly pursuits here, where Taurus is about the five senses. Taurus is about what we can see, what you see with your eyes, what we see in the physical world. So when Venus is in Scorpio, Scorpio being the opposite sign of Taurus, she's the furthest away from her home turf. She's very far away from the energy that she's most comfortable in. And when that happens for a planet, we say that they're in their detriment, meaning they are a little bit out of their comfort zone here. And Venus is in a place now where in Scorpio, she has to go below the surface. So if you think of Taurus as the surface, the physical world, what you can see, hear, touch, taste, this is the energy of going below the terrain, going into the things that we can't see. Yet the Scorpio energies highlight trusting ourselves, what we feel, what we sense, the energetics. And this is where Venus is learning more about who she is by going into this energy that is requiring her to access more of her own gifts, her own skills, and how to use them. So when Venus is in Scorpio, she's in her detriment. She's in a place where she feels like she's got a lot more to process, because that Scorpio energy is a water sign and it is a feminine sign. So she's in a feminine energy, but she's being required to go deeper to get to the heart of what she really wants, what she really needs, and who she really is. And so the Scorpio energy is ruled by both Pluto and Mars. So now we follow the energy trail to Mars, and Mars is in Libra. Now, this is also a sign of Mars's detriment, where he's furthest away from his home territory of Aries. Mars rules Aries, where he can be a warrior, in charge, take action, trust himself, go for what he wants. In Libra, the opposite sign of Aries, Mars doesn't take action. In fact, instead, he has to sit at the table and talk things through. So Mars being the energies of the masculine, including men, brothers, siblings, co-workers that are also masculine in energy. Mars is how we want to do something for ourselves, how we assert ourselves and go after something that we are driven to experience or to have. Mars is most comfortable taking action, moving forward, and being in charge of what he wants. So when he's in Libra, a sign of his detriment, he has to be in the air sign qualities of discussion, talking, contemplation, sharing, meaning there's others he has to connect with and discuss matters with. Now, Libra is an air sign, which is masculine. So he is in a masculine sign, but this is the energy of making sure you think something through and you're aware of the effects it will have on others before taking action. And that isn't Mars's normal intention. So he is slowed down. He is feeling like he has to check in with people and make sure that something is okay with them before moving ahead. And this is where Mars is also going to be more intentional with what he says, what he chooses, and where he goes. Now, until October 8th, these two planets are in mutual reception, which means they're in the sign that the other is most comfortable in. So Venus is comfortable in Libra, Mars is comfortable in Scorpio. And this is where they're essentially assisting each other, as they're both furthest away from the astrological signs that they prefer. So what this means is many things, and we're going to discuss it more. But the first question I want to ask you is, do you believe that life supports you? Meaning, do you believe that life supports your energy and how you are here on this planet in a physical form to experience multiple types of energies while also feeling connected, powerful, and supported in who you are? Supported in your career, supported by money, supported through all flows of receiving, supported in your relationships with others. And this goes very deep. This goes very much into the cellular programming that we hold that's often unconscious until something is made conscious, where we then experience something that hurts, that triggers us, that creates a fear or a sense of powerlessness. And we then are opening up to more of our unconscious programming and how we can move through it. Now, this can be experienced through multiple means, and there's unlimited possibilities around these themes. So this is where we can experience a dark night of the soul. This is where we embark on a healing journey or go into therapy. This is where we want to understand what's happening within us at a deeper level. So that could be where you dive into past life regressions, reincarnation energies, perhaps something in your Akashic records. However, before understanding these modalities are available or even knowing what to do, this is where we can be trapped in karmic cycles. Something is on loop where you're experiencing the same energy over and over again. And that can be energies in relationships. That can be attracting in the same type of dynamics, whether that is in your career, within your family, in your friends. And so what we're looking at here is getting into the Venus in Scorpio qualities that are showing you what has disconnected you from yourself, from your sense of love and from your ability to tap into your power. And whatever you choose or however you embark upon that healing experience, the intention is for you to reconnect with a higher sense of self-acceptance, self-value, self-worth, where you're reclaiming what was taken away or the perception that something was taken away. Scorpio energies are connected to what we have to let go of, what we quote unquote lose in order to gain, in order to move up to the next level or to transform the energy into a higher expression. And so the Scorpio energies first experience that loss. Something has to be removed, and it can feel like that creates the power struggle where you don't want to let it go. You don't want to give up what you have. Now, with Scorpio, we also are very aware of how we receive other people's energies, of what we have received that we weren't aware of, especially when you were younger or even in previous phases of your life, that you were in a certain dynamic with someone, you were in a relationship, you were experiencing another person's energy. And again, this could be a family member, a parent, a boss, a coworker, a sibling, and their energy could have felt intrusive. It could have felt like it was interfering. This is where we begin to understand more about abuse or trauma, is in these Scorpio realms, where we go deeper into what we experienced that was not love, that was a disconnection from our sense of self or our sense of power. And so as Venus moves through Scorpio, she is giving us invitations and offerings to reclaim and reconnect with what is love to you, what fortifies you, where do you feel powerful in yourself, where do you feel that life supports you, that the universe loves your energy. The universe wants you to be powerful, wants you to honor who you are, and how there are experiences in our lives that take us away from that understanding. The Venus and Scorpio journey is actually about returning to that core essence of who you are, deeper in yourself, deeper within your own energy. But it requires us to be brutally honest about our own habits and patterns. It requires us to be very authentic with how we really feel and how we must trust those feelings, even when they feel very messy, very vulnerable, or perhaps we judge them as weak. We can judge them in many different ways. But the Scorpio energy is able to go into all these places, all these experiences, all these energies, so that you can really get to the heart of who you are, what you feel, what drives you, and what you need in order to feel safe in this world. And that's within this physical world, within this earthly plane. How you return to a sense of safety and love for yourself, where previously you may have felt that it was removed or taken away by something outside of you. So the Venus and Scorpio energies are ultimately returning us to a higher place of self-acceptance and a sense of who you are within your authentic energy field. But it isn't an easy ride. You can't just hit the coast button and expect the car to take you somewhere automatically. This is where we're in a journey. You're going into deeper layers of yourself, and it's where you can be triggered by others, where things can come up in your life and in your world that show you your authentic needs and how you really feel. Scorpio wants us to connect with an emotional truth that's based on all of your experiences. And as you interact with others and you get to know them and how they operate and perhaps more of their own psychology and what you've learned through relationships, then you start to discern what is true for you and what is not, what is love, what is not, what is trust, what is not. And Venus in Scorpio is learning how to trust herself first, because this energy can be more inclined to look to others for fulfillment, to look to someone else to support you or to help you with something. But this is about reclaiming and understanding that you're always in your power when that is your belief system, when that is where you're sourcing your sense of self-love and self-value. Venus in Scorpio will ask the deeper questions, and this is the energy of the healing path, of therapy, counseling, psychology. This is the energy of going deeper into how you operate, what's happening underneath the surface, what's happening in your psyche and in your subconscious, and even those repressed memories from earlier in this lifetime that you experienced in childhood, where they left an emotional imprint. There was something maybe that affected you deeply, but when you were younger, when you were a child, you didn't have the brain maturity or the psychological understanding of what was happening. And so that's why later in life, most of us, I should say, will embark upon something that reveals more of what those emotional imprints were, of what scars were left behind, of the understandings we've carried forward, especially as we share energies with others. So both this Venus in Scorpio and Mars in Libra relate to how we share energy with others. Venus in Scorpio wants us to go into how it feels. What's really happening within you. You don't have to gloss over it and make it look pretty. You don't have to show up in a certain way that you think is presentable. This is understanding what is it for you and to honor that truth. Now, because this Venus in Scorpio is a mutual reception with Mars in Libra, this continues the energy trail and leads us to the Mars in Libra masculine energy of contemplation, objectivity, thinking things through, understanding both sides, and helping you detach from the deeper underworld energies. Now, Mars is in the masculine sign of Libra, and that's the power of the mind. And what you have perceived, how it has affected your own communications, what you share, how you share, and what you have then come to believe around relationships. And so over this period of time here, September 11th through October 8th, there's going to be some opportunities to deeply reframe emotional programming and relationship patterns that have come to your attention. There are opportunities here for you to understand it in a different way, to talk it through, and to see something in a new light that helps you step back and be more objective. Mars in Libra wants you to consider the other person's perspective or energy, wants you to understand that it's not personal. And this is a gift of the Libra energies, where you can say that happened because XYZ, but it wasn't personal. It wasn't personal, and I can accept that and use that as part of my healing journey. Mars in Libra will connect you with what the other person was choosing. The power of choice is big here, where the ability to make conscious and unconscious choices shows up based on our own level of consciousness. And so when you're interacting with someone or you're in a situation that you're trying to navigate or get what you need or understand what's happening, there's only so much you can understand because you don't fully know the other person's perspective or the other person's experiences, what the other person has been through, or even how they're operating. And it's only until you go into those conversations that you start to get to the heart of the matter. And so I feel like this Mars in Libra, because Mars can be an instigator and Mars can provoke. There could be some conversations that are instigated here that require you to show up in your authentic truth, require you to state vulnerably and openly what you really feel and what you need. There could also be an opportunity here to declare what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And of course, it's all in how you communicate it, how you state your needs, and how it comes across, including word choice, tone of voice, all the things that go into communication styles. There's energy here where you could have some very productive conversations based on what you've experienced and how you need to stand in your own corner while also understanding how the information may be received and perceived. Mars in Libra doesn't want to go to war. Mars in Libra wants peace, discussion, cooperation, wants collaboration. I feel like there's opportunities here to be very mindful of where you need time and space to think something through. Because that Mars in Libra can be ready to go at times. It can be almost like, I'm going to take one step forward and then I take 2 steps back because I want to think about it some more. What we have the opportunity to do here is to share our boundaries and to be clear on what we need at a conscious level. Where if it's a big conversation or discussion or something's happening that is important, you want to be very mindful of it. You want to be clear in your word choice and that you're demonstrating what's on your mind in a way that the other person can receive it. So this is an opportunity to have these interactions with people from the higher octave of Mars in Libra, where your goal, which is a Mars word, your goal, the result you want, is some type of win-win outcome. You're looking for something that benefits both parties and what they authentically need in a way that honors what is essential and what is important. Now, this can be tricky to arrive at, depending on various factors, but we do have the support here of Mercury in Libra as well. And Mercury is strong in the air signs, is strong in Libra, and is supporting with that desire to find solutions and to maintain an equilibrium, where the Venus energy, she's passionate, she's driven, she can be very emotionally alive because she feels things intensely. And I feel like what this mutual reception energy is supporting us with here is that as that Venus in Scorpio really taps into the heart of who she is, what she desires, what she wants, and what she wants to experience, the Mars in Libra is giving her space, is allowing her to be in that energy without forcing anything, without rushing it, without having it go too fast. And it's almost like this lovely dance between feminine and masculine energies, where the masculine is providing a type of framework or boundary, and that can allow the feminine energies to feel safe in their expression, in their desire to really go into what's happening and what's going on. So I feel like what we're learning here is where we can move towards healthier expressions, both within ourselves and within relationships and partnerships, where you're moving into how you can be honoring of what you feel without putting it on anyone else, without projecting it, without expecting someone else to solve it. You're honoring what you're moving through, the emotions that are coming up. And then this Mars in Libra is providing that fence or that boundary that says it's okay to be exactly where you are, to understand what you need. And this is the masculine energy that's allowing and supporting a process to unfold. Now, here's an example of how this can show up. Because Mars can trigger energies, in Libra, it can trigger a reaction that can be perhaps quite big, or something comes up where you're impatient or you're angry or you're upset because someone didn't do something, for example. Then that energy would go into this Venus in Scorpio that gets into the heart of the matter, where you're like, I was relying on this person to follow through, to show up, to do something because it was really important and it's something that I value. And the fact that they didn't do it has created resentment, has created an anger, has also created a sense of, I don't know if I can trust them. And that's a big word for Scorpio, is trust. So here we have a feeling of distrust where you were relying on someone, they let you down, and maybe something came up, right? It could be any number of reasons, but what you're feeling is showing you what you need. So it would then be wise to take your space and to take your time to allow those feelings to flow, to allow that Venus and Scorpio energy to move through you where you're like, I'm really pissed off, I'm resenting them, I'm not happy about this, I don't want to talk to them, I'm not going to respond. Now there's a mature way to go about that where you let someone know, hey, I need some time right now, I'll get back to you in a few hours. I'll get back to you in a few days. You don't have to ghost anyone. You don't have to create this silent power struggle. You don't have to leave them confused. You can be very clear, this is Mercury and Libra, and say, this is what's on my mind right now, and I need some time to process it. I need some time to move through some things. I will check back in with you. I'll come back around, whatever you want to say. It's sort of like that's the mature way to handle your emotions, is to honor what you're feeling, but to own it and to not put it on someone else, especially when you're in that fragile state of a reaction or when you're in that immediate response of something. So you say, I just need some time and I'll check back in with you later. Then you move through what is going on for you at a deeper level. Is this issue or experience really about right now? Or is it about something else where maybe there have been numerous times in your life people haven't shown up for you or they haven't followed through? And that's why this particular instance feels so big, because you realized it's been a pattern in your life or something that you've experienced regularly from other people that you couldn't trust. You didn't feel safe that they would honor their word, or it could even feel like disrespect. It could feel like, oh, they don't see me as valuable enough to take care of this or to follow through. There's a lot that can be happening here at a deeper level. And the gift is for you to identify it. Is this about right now? Or is this about something else in a previous time in my life that's making this really big? And have you ever been in a situation, any kind of relationship with someone, where something happens and it seems to be pretty minor? Like it's not a big deal, it's not a huge issue, and their response is much bigger than the situation warrants. It's sort of like whatever happens on a scale of 0 to 10, it's like a 2, but they make it into an 8 or a 9. And you're like, whoa, what just happened here? I thought this was a minor, small issue, and it just exploded into something much bigger. When that happens, it often means there's something within them that has been on a loop, something they've experienced multiple times, or something they've been moving through that they haven't fully gotten to the heart of. So again, this is where you take a step back. You honor your space, you honor what you're feeling, you don't put it on other people, you don't call them out or make them the enemy or make them wrong, because what you're doing is you're taking responsibility for everything you're feeling. Again, Venus and Scorpio, she can feel things in a very big way, in a very deep way. Then when you've moved through what you're really feeling and you've gotten to the heart of something, you've come to a truth and you realize, I really felt disrespected because in my childhood, my brother did the same thing to me over and over again, where he wouldn't show up, or he didn't pick me up from school, or he didn't take me to dance class. I mean, this can be anything, right? But you're getting into why this emotion or why this reaction is so big for you. And that's the gift for you. Then when you got that figured out or you've arrived to some type of understanding, if this is the situation, then you're able to honestly communicate that to the other person in a way that they can hear it or understand it. And that's where you're in charge of your energy and you're not blasting them, but you're coming forward to speak in a mature way that they can hear you. And you sit down and you say, so what happened for me was that when you didn't show up for XYZ, it really brought up something big for me that I wasn't expecting. And that's why I needed to take time. I needed to move through it because I had a really big response to that. And what I realized is that it goes back to when my brother wouldn't pick me up from school on time, or he forgot about me, or he didn't show up, and I didn't feel safe and I didn't trust him. And that's what's coming up now, is that now I'm feeling like when you don't show up or when you don't follow through, I don't know how much I can trust that type of behavior, because it really matters to me. It's really important to me for someone to follow through or to show up when they say they're going to show up. So that gives the other person information about where you're coming from. It also lets them know how their behavior affected you, but you're doing it in a way that isn't making them horribly wrong, but you're letting them know how you feel. This is mature adult communication, and it's okay at this time to practice this in all areas of your life. And this is what will shift relationships. This is what will shift conversations and interactions, because now you've also given that person an opportunity to take responsibility. Of course, this is where they may or may not. They might hear you. They might not get it. They might understand what you're saying. They might not. Now, keep in mind, the roles can be reversed, where perhaps you do something that upsets someone, that triggers them, they get pissed off, you didn't say something the correct way, you didn't do something you were supposed to do, whatever it might be. This is where we also have opportunities to take responsibility for ourselves in relationships and how our energy is showing up, how our energy is coming forward and interacting with others. And this is where we can say, I didn't handle that right. I'm really sorry I let you down. I'm really sorry I disappointed you. That was not my intention. In my world, I had something else come up. That's not an excuse, but I just want you to know what I was going through. So this is where we're learning how to be more conscious in our communications, which is Libra, but also in our overall energetic interactions. And there could be instances where you are on both sides of that conversation, and there are opportunities to practice that level of mindfulness in your relationships and in your connections with others. Now, the stronger energy here is Mars. Mars is more dominant. In Libra, he's a bit more subdued. As I mentioned, Mercury is also in Libra. So we have a strong focus on these Libra energies of wanting to solve a problem, wanting to talk it out, wanting to make progress, wanting collaboration, where, maybe we're better together. We go further together. We can do something bigger together. We can solve this together. So there is that energy here of the cooperation and collaboration. But the Venus in Scorpio is where you're going to see and feel, you're going to deeply feel where something is off at first. Again, where something, if it's not truly in balance, if you don't feel like you're in your power equally as another, if you're even not trusting yourself, that could also come through. And Venus wants you to come back to trusting yourself. I remember years ago when I was in an online women's group, there was someone I was partnered up with, and she was saying how mad she was about all these people that she didn't trust. And she's like, how do I trust this person? How do I trust what they're going to do next? Or how do I trust them to show up? And the easy answer is that you trust yourself. You trust yourself first, and then you develop tools or techniques that help you move through establishing trust with another, where you don't just give someone the world right away. Meaning, if you're developing a relationship with someone, you want to see who they are, how they show up, what their choices are. You want to understand more about their own psyche and what they're about. And so there's ways that you build trust over time. You build it in incremental measures. And that's where you understand, okay, this is someone I can rely on. This is someone I can open up to. This is someone who I can share more of myself with. And that's part of the relationship process, is that it happens over time. And it happens in ways that we don't expect, but we understand how another person shows up just as they are witnessing how you show up and honor your word, how you do what you're going to do or say what you're going to say. There's also this energy here of vulnerability, which is another word associated with Scorpio, is that ability to be vulnerable is what creates openings, and it creates a deeper knowingness of someone else. It creates intimacy. It creates a sense of really knowing who they are, the heart of who they are. And that also develops over time. So what we're moving through are some really fascinating energies that are showing us what we need in relationships with other people, that also reflect what we need in a relationship with ourselves. So there is a bit of a back and forth dance here where we're looking at, what is this showing me? How is this revealing what I can do differently, where I can improve, where I can be in a higher expression of myself? And then knowing that, those create your energetic standards. And then that's what you would look for in connections with others. And those can be all types of relationships and all types of dynamics. But I feel like what we're really looking at is the deeper unconscious programming that maybe we didn't notice before. Either where you've been in relationship loops and you working through the same unhealed habits or patterns, or perhaps there's things you have healed and you're doing relationships differently now. You're understanding more of what you need and more of who you are, more of your authentic self, and that is how you want to relate to others. In fact, it's the only way you want to relate to others. And this can feel like you have a smaller circle at times, where you've had to let go of friendships, you've had to let go of partnerships, of lovers, of a marriage. You've had to let go of things that were not connected to the authenticity of your heart, although those individuals played a role or played a part in reconnecting you to that truth, right? Like they helped steer you back or showed you something new, showed you what was unhealed. And that's helped you move forward. It's been a blessing. And it would be very powerful to express gratitude for every single person who has redirected you back or towards your own truth. To have gratitude, to send them blessings, to send them gratefulness for what they showed you, for the experiences you went through, even if it was very hurtful or tumultuous, even if it was very deep and hard. There's things that you can take forward, that you're able to see in a powerful way and turn it into something new. And this is the alchemy as well of Venus in Scorpio. So we are certainly moving through a very powerful energy phase of relationship dynamics that you can use to raise your own consciousness, to understand more of what you need, of what your trauma has been, what emotional needs have not been met, where you haven't felt safe or secure, or also where you haven't felt that you could trust people. These are just some of the big themes here, but they are worth diving into. They are worth understanding. Because as you heal through them, that's where you find the gold nuggets. That's where you connect with more love for yourself, more understanding of who you are, and the other people who will show up and reflect those same energies back to you. Now, a few years ago, I did a publishing project all about these types of stories, and it's called Modern Heroine Soul Stories, and it is a compilation of 24 stories of various women describing some of the hardest times in their life, what they went through, what they learned, what they healed, what they understood about themselves, the universe, God, source, their own power. It's everything from beginning to trust the universe to fully accepting your feminine energy. It's about moving through the ending of a friendship or going through a divorce. It's moving through an acceptance of your authentic self and what matters to you. It also involves some beautiful stories around loss, around saying goodbye to a mother, saying goodbye to a part of yourself, a part of your life. All of these deep things that pull us under, that require us to go deeper. And the book was really about the archetypal journey of Persephone and how she was a beautiful fair maiden who was pulled into the underworld by Hades. And Hades is actually a representation of the other part of her psyche, where there were fears, there were powerlessness, there was the sense of, who am I when I go into this underworld? Who am I when I go into this shadow work? And the other archetypal energy would be that of Persephone's mother, Demeter, who wanted her daughter to stay innocent, who wanted her daughter to experience the best of life, the best of the world, a very nurturing energy, very kind, very supportive. And this represents the part of us that wants to feel connected and supported no matter where we go. So you can look at these archetypal stories as different expressions of our own psyche. And it's understanding this that can also connect you to more of your own power and more of what you're experiencing. So that book is called Modern Heroine Soul Stories, and I'm so proud of every single woman who decided to contribute and open herself up and share more of her journey in this book. I recommend checking it out if it's something that you are being drawn to, especially because so many of these stories are highly relatable, and that can be really validating, especially when you're moving through something that feels very alone. You can remember that we have many universal experiences together. And then along the same note, I also wrote a book called Modern Heroine's Journey of Consciousness, which is about the 11 stages of internal consciousness that's more about the feminine expression. Now, we know that Joseph Campbell, who wrote many great works, was the one who explored and brought us the hero's journey, which is more of the masculine experience of action, physical world, going out for something, seeking adventure, seeking a goal. And Joseph Campbell wrote these beautiful explanations of the archetypal journey. However, he didn't understand the different energies that the feminine experiences, where the feminine journey is spiritual, internal, and energetic. And this is something that both men and women experience. It isn't simply about sex or gender. It's that the feminine experience is internal. It is something that's more on her own terms. It's the emotional waves. It's deeply personal. And it's essentially how the feminine energy can feel like it's working something out with God, working out that relationship dynamic with God, source, spirit, the universe. What is that? So it's more of this internal pull. And this was something that I wrote because it's very personal to me, as I know so many women and men can relate to what it means to go on a spiritual journey that's internal. So that is the Modern Heroine's Journey of Consciousness, if that resonates with you. But it's also about the various stages that we move through as we're understanding more of who we are. And that does relate to these strong Venus and Scorpio energies as well. And it's pretty exciting how we have this information alive in our lives right now, where there are more resources, more tools, and more ways of understanding what we're healing, what we're moving through, and what we have the power to change. I hope that this episode has highlighted for you some themes, whether those are themes in your life or themes that you're moving through over this time period. But I hope it's helped you understand the gifts, perhaps some ways to approach it, and how to be very aware of your own energy at all times. And so, as always, I thank you for joining me and for listening to this podcast. I will be back every Monday and Wednesday for another podcast episode. You can find out more about me at mollymccord.online, and be sure and check out any of my books. I have written 10 books, and you can find them on Amazon, Kobo, Apple. They're available on IndieBound. A number of them are also audiobooks that you can find on Apple, Audible, and Amazon. So thank you for joining me. I will be back here with another episode very soon, and I look forward to continuing this astrological conversation with you as we move forward. Take good care.